This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.
Beers in the Lot is partnered with the Hockey Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Beers in the Lot. Before we get going, let me just remind you about our shop at beersinthelot.com/shop. That's where you can get t-shirts and other merchandise with Beers in the Lot logos on it. Also, check out beersinthelot.com for anything else you might be curious about this podcast. And be sure to join the Discord at beersinthelot.com/discord. So for this week's episode, we had a special guest in Jeff Tyner, the writer and director of the Beer League hockey movie called The Late Game. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, jump in Discord and we'll send you a link. Or just Google The Late Game movie and I'm sure it'll come up. The guys and I got a chance to see the movie pre-release, and I got to tell you, it is a dead ringer for the Beer League experience. We talked with Jeff all about it, how he produced it and wrote it, and got all kinds of cool nuggets about how the movie was made. So here we go. Let's get into it. I see at least one pour there. Riggs, what are you pouring?
I am pouring a Jailbreak Brewing Company White Russian Cream Ale. That is one of their Big Lebowski brews. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, the label with the dude practicing Tai Chi in the living room. Yeah, sick. Johnny, what do you have?
Well, apparently because there's a winter weather advisory in Maryland somehow this evening as we record, which is shocking because it's like 46. The mountains are blue, so I'm having a Coors Light.
There you
go. Daniel, what are you having this evening, sir?
So tonight I am having a Jackie O's Endless Echoes Hazy IPA. What do you got over there, Aaron?
Well, fittingly, I have a true Beer League beer. I have a Busch Light. And it's fitting because tonight our guest is Jeff Tyner, the writer-director of the movie The Late Game. And we're excited to talk Beer League hockey with him. What are you drinking tonight, Jeff?
I told you guys a little earlier, not to spoil it, but I'm south of the border with a Modelo. Slim pickings at the grocery store.
No, Modelo's are always in season. You ask me.
Very classy.
It's always Modelo time.
That's right.
We're fine.
Time.
That's right.
It was either a month or two ago. Aaron went through a Modelo run.
Oh, yeah.
3 or 4 weeks, didn't he?
Yeah.
As I do.
Yeah. Usually what I bring.
Always a good choice. Always a good choice.
It's a good beer.
I'm actually going through my Busch Lights because I was on beer duty last Wednesday again. So some extras. Guys weren't on their game. Didn't finish them off. But anyway, Jeff, tell us about the movie. So real quick though, before you do, I guess we've watched it. I know that we all had good things to say about it, but tell us about the movie. Tell us your elevator blurb on it.
Well, I was writing the movie. My elevator pitch was always Dazed and Confused plus Clerks speaks Beer League hockey. It was sort of just real quick right into it because that and simplifying it to just one night, one Beer League game. I struggled writing for a while and I was like, let's just keep this as simple as it can be. Keep it on Beer League because I just think that's the widest reaching hockey audience there is and one of the weirdest and most fun. So yeah, that's how we kept it simple. Yeah. And then just 3 years of writing, 15 days of shooting and no sleep in those 15 days. And that's kind of how we got there. But yeah, just real Beer League budget, Beer League environment the whole way. It's been wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought you really captured the late game Beer League atmosphere for sure. I was like, man, I have seen this so many times just playing Beer League. Past 10.
Yep.
I love the I don't know if I should get into too much of the movie, but Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
I was trying to think.
spoilers.
Are we giving
Gotta get used
spoilers?
to
Yeah.
avoiding spoilers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question. So you said it was 15 days of shooting, 3 days or 3 years of writing leading up to that, obviously. So I'm sure there were tweaks, edits, etc. So how much did you pull from either your current experiences, stories that maybe you've heard through the grapevine of cats coming into your team, hearing them, or I'm sure some of these characters have to be based on real life Sasquatches you've seen or heard of throughout the world, correct?
Yes and no, as with everything. Yeah. Guys on polys, those are mostly my friends. So wrote them in because I knew I could count on them for a favor. A lot of it's just my experience. It's funny how that experience shifted. 3 years is a long time to be in the writing phase. It wasn't meant to be that long, but just one thing after another. But when I started writing, I was kind of like Riley, the main character who has been off for a while, jumps back in. I don't know if you guys have ever had any long breaks, but you just feel like shit when you come back. And
Oh
I didn't
yeah.
have a lot of
Yep.
confidence coming back. So it's funny how I started there, and I'm writing, first draft in, it was a short film. Second draft forward, it was feature length. And then in year 2 or 3, like I'm no longer that guy anymore. Like I've gotten ingrained with the team. Shout out to the Pizza Boys. Just
Nice.
really, it's funny how you find a good room. It just kind of all falls together. And I'm reminded of how it used to be when I kind of was going through the script. So that was kind of an interesting part of being in that writing phase for so long, is point of views change. Sorry, was there a
Now-
specific question there? I kind of got rambly.
No, just kind of
Oh,
like
no.
I wanted something a little more like open-winded like that. But like, during that 3 years, like were you kind of like playing on like a like a Tuesday night, or we play on every Sunday, and then was it something like Monday morning fresh off of the experience, kind of jot notes down? How'd that work?
Yeah, so that's kind of funny. I had struggled, like I mentioned briefly, struggled with writing for hockey because it was kind of information overload. You guys play a long time. It's kind of hard to think about specifics. And I had played in a game. I was on a free agent team. I didn't really know too many guys, and we're playing a team of like 18-year-olds, and they were called. I need to know this for certain, but I think they were called the Young Biscuits. And they're smoking everybody, but we beat them in a shootout, and it was just kind of like a while. Your goalie stood on his head. Shout out to my buddy Andrew, and kind of thought about that POV being the new guy, like in the movie Waiting. I don't know if y'all know that movie, but you have this new
Yes.
guy
Yeah,
that's kind of
yeah.
the audience that you go through the ringer with them. I kind of like that dynamic of getting introduced to this world, because try to explain beer league to people who know nothing about hockey. It kind of gets weird that. I don't know. Some people, there's a different level of cluelessness between people. I don't know, but it's kind of a hard thing to put into words. So that's why I latched on the beer league. But yeah, then I use kind of that one game as the bones, and then let's build a story out from that. And then yeah, like the good guy team are mostly my friends, and so I kind of wrote them in the story as themselves because they're not actors, and they did a great fucking job. I couldn't be more proud of them. And then kind of kept it minimal for the other team, kind of made them a faceless bad guy team. But you've got your main bad guy, Chris Curtis, who plays Chet, which is
Yeah.
actually just like for shorthand. When I was writing the movie, I just used like an actual douasbag's name I grew up with.
I was just gonna say, Chet's the
can't use
perfect
it
name.
for the movie, so we've gotta assign. So there's not too many specifics with the character, but the name. I had to really pick a good douchey name, and
Every town has a Chet, dude. Yeah.
yeah, Chris Curtis, I can't say good things about him. He was so good in the world. Yeah, that's kind of like the shorthand for it, for sure.
Awesome. And I notice behind you as we record, I see is that Team America World Police and then Hot Fuzz posters behind you?
Yeah, I
You
got a
take
Hot
some
Fuzz,
inspiration
it's a little
from
concealed
that?
by the TV, and then this is, sadly, it's not as cool as Team America. It's a Captain America.
Oh, it's Captain America.
Oh.
Okay. I thought it was Team
America.
America.
I wish it
Yeah.
was Team America, honestly.
Yeah.
Green print collector, so I've got too
Yeah.
many of them.
Awesome.
And by the way, I just wanted to shout out our poster for the movie is so much better than we deserve. My buddy John Embry from college illustrated it. We'll have to
Awesome.
send you guys one because I'm really proud of that. But I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good, man.
No, that's
Nah,
awesome.
we kind of just, well, you're clearly aware now. We just kind of word vomit and figure it out. Aaron does all the other fun shit.
Which actually brings us to a good point. Like I watched to the end of the credits, and your name's all over it, man. You did it all. Like, you're the producer. You did editing too. Like, holy crap! You're the guy. You're the guy on this movie. Like, what was that like?
I had to carry a lot of water, but it was this is my first feature, so yeah, it was pretty nuts, and it was mostly done out of necessity to keep our money spent in other places. And I can't
Right.
say another word without shouting out Jeffrey Zucker, who's my co-creator with me, my main partner in this, and then our cinematographer Jeff Van Gerwen, the guy who just like he was awesome. He really elevated the movie. And then our other producer Taylor Rizzo, who plays Hubie in the film, one of the dudes in the bleachers. He was our first AD, and we had a really strong, tight knit producers group who really, I mean, we were like the four plus Rachel High, our associate producer. We were the people who stayed after wrap and the next day. It was a team effort, but yeah, to keep costs down, that was my first feature of editing too, and that was soul sucking at times for sure. But I so love to work here.
I've not done anything as long as a feature, but I know that. I know that feeling of the soul sucking feet.
I mean, it sounds.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it
Like
sounds
I
pretty.
said, I've never done something like a full length feature film, but man,
it sounds like pretty daunting. Like, what did you do? I mean, besides obviously the writing and some of it, like, what did you do leading up to like this point in terms of, getting this project, essentially from start to finish? Obviously, the writing was in and of itself a Herculean feat, plus the 15 days of shooting and doing a lot of stuff, kind of bootstrapping it. What projects do you do leading up to this that kind of like set you up for success?
Man, I leaned on a lot of my friends who work in LA, who are just real pros. Jeff Howard, BJ Bales, Prim Shaw, Eric McIver. They've been doing it in LA for a while, so I asked them a million questions. I got to second AC, camera assist, but mostly the guy who does a little clapper, on a couple of their projects, just to sort of, really soak it in. Because I went to school for film production, but just in my mind, I was like, I can't be a filmmaker because I don't know how to do shit. Instead of like LA or New York and kind of jumping in the trenches, I just said I'll work in sports because I know sports. So I worked in the ECHL for the South Carolina Stingrays, who were prominently featured in the film. Was really glad to give them a big shout out. I worked in college football for a few years, covering the University of South Carolina's football team, and then worked in advertising, marketing, mostly for cannabis products with Jeffrey Zucker. He hired me out to Denver in 2016, and I think that's really I kind of took the next step of had better equipment, access to more things, and a lot of work to just sort of hone in on camera. Even though I shot our opening title credits, but outside of that, like I don't have anything to do with any of the shots. I leaned on Jeff Van Gerwen. That was part of it. It's like one of the first things I did was hire Jeff Van Gerwen because he was the linchpin, as Jeffrey Zucker says. Like the filmmaker in his own right, but he just wanted to be part of he's a Canadian-born guy living in New Orleans who just wanted to work on a hockey film. He reached out to me over Reddit, and we just hit it off immediately. And I was going to shoot this myself just based out of necessity because I was like, I don't think anyone's going to be like, hey, let me make a hockey movie with you. He saved the day because it would have been way shittier if I did that.
Well, and it's hard to shoot hockey too, right? And like actually tell a story. Like it's one thing just to shoot a game and you're following the puck around in the play, but like you actually have to tell a story at the same time. Like I think that's probably very complex and very difficult.
Yeah, we had so my original script had the hockey plays in action kind of stayed unchanged the whole way. And it took us, like the opening goal of the movie, about a 15-second sequence, took us 6 hours to shoot. And that was our first real thing we're doing. And I don't know if you noticed, I'm body doubling out there a good bit. We didn't have Proton for the first few days. So I'm having, on top of directing, I'm pretending to be Proton in the movie for a good bit. And so I had a lot of really detailed scripted action, and not just goals and penalties, but a bunch of little, think about all the beer league games you play, and there's a lot of little moments. I really wanted to knock out as many of those as possible, but we just didn't have the time. So after about day 4, we cut 4 scripted goals. Originally, I think there were 10 total goals scored. We cut 4 of those, and then we improv'd a lot of dialogue scenes, and we improv'd a lot of hockey scenes. We would we had this red Gemini camera, which was not just super expensive, but big heavy camera. So we actually watched the Miracle behind the scenes, and they had this on ice dolly that our gaffer Dalton Stout took a stab at and made it himself from scratch, and got like 50 pucks from China to use as like the gliders on the bottom. And I mentioned that they're from China because something was just off about them. They weren't real. If they were out for warm-ups in one of your games, you go, what the fuck's going on here? Something's not right.
Puck's not from
They
Canada or Czech.
worked for the rig.
Got them
and
from
we actually-
wish.com.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, Jeff Van Gerwen and I, we actually got to talk to the cinematographer from Miracle on the phone.
Oh, sick.
He didn't give us a ton of info because apparently they use the digital puck a lot in that movie. I wouldn't have known otherwise.
Oh, wow.
Obviously didn't have Miracle's budget. So, but me and Jeff Van Gerwen were going to work from the start. Was like, I love hockey movies. Youngblood's my favorite one, and as far as hockey goes,
Yes.
it's terrible, but I fucking love it so much.
Oh yeah.
And I think the problem with Miracle's the gold standard, and then there's kind of a big gap between whatever anyone would consider number 2 is. I think there's this internal need or reflex to slow hockey down in a movie so people can follow it.
Right.
Miracle, they just lean into it. It's fast, it's heavy, it's hard, and I was like, I don't know how we do it. I was like, if it's just me with a handheld rig skating into the action, I'm going to do it. But if we're going to really go for this, like, to be in the action, we need to lean into the speed. It helps that everyone in the movie is a hockey player, so we don't have to worry about pretending that Rob Lowe knows how to skate. Like, we can just, everyone in the movie thing.
Yeah, doing the puck pickups with his foot. Yeah, I know. Like, he can really do that. It's interesting you mentioned kind of like Youngblood's your favorite, and then you were talking about Miracle, how it's kind of like the gold standard with, just the way it was shot in terms of the on ice stuff. Did you kind of like go back through like, I'm thinking Slapshot, Youngblood, Miracle, obviously. Did you kind of study and kind of take certain aspects of those films as you were doing it, and you're like, you know what, I like that, I think I could do this better? Or seeing something on screen like for Miracle or Slapshot and going, I want to do exactly that?
I had every intention of doing that, and I just never got around to it. There's a few things that stick out in my head, and I keep saying, because there's always like Jeffrey Zucker and I must have done pre-production the role of 25 people. Like, we had to do all these different things to save money. So it's just like, that was always on I had a written list, I had a million written lists, and that was always on there. Like, watch Miracle, and then watch these other ones and see what doesn't work. Slapshot, for being like really the first hockey movie, I think has the best on ice like cinematography work there is. I think it's a different game back then, but
Right.
it's faster in Slapshot than it is in most other movies after that. But yeah, no, I honestly had that intention, and we never really got around to it. Like, I guess Miracle, like
Yeah.
I know that one pretty inside out. Same with Youngblood of like what not to do, which is just don't shoot the whole movie in slow motion.
Yeah.
But other than that, like
Unless you have sick music, then you can do that. But yeah.
right. I mean, one of the last songs we licensed in is one of my favorites. It's by this band called Russian Circles. They're an instrumental band, and the song's called Youngblood. It's got to be, and not as an
Perfect.
ode to them. And almost didn't make it in there. Thank God we figured out how to bring it in, because that's what plays in the beginning of the third period and a few other times. But yeah, that's my little taste of Youngblood that's still in there.
You had an original song made for the movie though too. I heard it in the credits. It's, who did, like, kind of like a local band or something?
So shout out to my Pizza Boys teammate Mike Riley. He's one of these guys that has like the deepest hockey Rolodex. He's always bringing in subs that are way better than we deserve. We were sitting out for a beer after a game, and he mentioned, like, I'm just complaining about, like, I know music is going to be kind of a headache of a thing because we just don't have the money to go out and get all these songs I want. And he's like, oh, I got a buddy who's great. He's a fucking whiz. Like, and I've had a lot of people kind of offer up, oh, I've got a guy who plays guitar or some shit. And I'm just like, I'm very appreciative, but I can't just say yes to everyone who says that. And I'm like, yeah, let's talk to him though, because Riley, thinking if his music contacts are even half as good as his hockey ones, I was like, this is a slam dunk. His name's Russell Hedman. he's a fucking savant, man. So he did. So there's the John Calamino rap. That's an original. That was the first thing he did for us.
Oh God.
That was
It
Yeah.
great.
wasn't ever in script. That was the whole setup of the scene was the same, but it was like it's basically John did it on his phone, and it was just there was no song. It was just like an ad reading.
Yeah.
He made that
Okay.
so funny. There's the Kevin goal song, and then he produced another track when the first period goal that Noel scores. I'm fucking butchering these spoilers. I'm not used to having to be secretive. Just fell on our lap. Again, just like with the poster, it's like so much better than our silly little movie deserves. So yeah, shout out to Russell, Mike Riley, and then Sammy is the woman who does the vocals. That song,
Oh.
yeah, really proud of that.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. I was watching the credits and I was like, this song is about this movie. This is original score. This is awesome.
And then,
That's cool.
Jeff Lubin also did like the score. So like basically all the music in the shootout came from him. And then we were able to license, shout out to Kyle Swick, our music supervisor, got us a lot of the other music, like both credits tracks. And then Brittany, I don't want to even try to say her last name because we only talked through email. But she got us the Edwin McCain song and the Ted Leo song at the end too. So I'm really proud of how the soundtrack came together because that was always a big wild card.
Yeah. Yeah. There's only so many hockey sounds you can fill the fill the audioscape with, right? Like you need something behind it to set the mood.
I tell you what, though, that was cool, though. I noticed the Foley because there was lots of like background sounds and like, oh, move it and like get it out, like all that. I know that they probably weren't saying from a hockey guy's player's perspective, it's like that's a lot of chatter. That's more than normal, but maybe my teams are just quiet too. But I can definitely tell. It's like, oh, that Foley is good though.
I heard a lot of. So we just had like up to 6 guys with lav mics. So the footage that I'm editing the whole time has the actual chatter, and the problem is just the quality is not good to stay in. So a lot of it is actually mimicking what the real chatter was. But yeah, I would say we probably add another 50% more than should. It helps though. Was the last thing we did. Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty chattery team.
Oh yeah. What? Yeah, maybe our guys are just quiet.
Our chatter's different.
Yeah,
our chatter
much
is
different.
Is yelling at each other, just random shit.
Few of those sneak in, but not as much as it should have. Like my favorite one we had was Proton just yelling, "Someone ice the fucking puck," and I'm like, "Yeah, I've heard that a lot."
Yep. No, but that stuff is like critical for the non-hockey playing audience, if you ask me. Though, like that's a big deal. It's like it kind of sets the mentality of like, hey, we're on defense and we got to play hard. We got to get the puck out of here. You know, like it definitely helps. Like from a hockey player's perspective, it sounds chattery, but you know, it's important. It's necessary, I think.
Yeah, Jeffrey Zucker, who plays John Calamino, he's my partner in making the movie. He was the most in character for the ADR recordings for On Ice Chatter because so much of his are just like, take it seriously, like, come on, guys. Just a lot. I've heard a lot. So I'm glad awesome. We added some of that there.
Time out for just a second while we hear about our sponsors. We'll be right back. We know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app with code THPN. New customers bet just $5 on the NHL and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2024. All rights reserved. Is it new year, new you for 2024? Pure Hockey has the best hockey equipment, accessories, and apparel on the market to take your game to the next level this year. Maybe you made resolutions to improve your puck handling or passing. Maybe it's time to ditch that old stick and start the year with a fresh twig. Maybe it's time to refresh your NHL wardrobe for the race to the playoffs. Pure Hockey has it all. Whether it's training aids, the latest sticks and skates, or your favorite team's gear, get your hockey shopping done at Pure Hockey and use our affiliate link at beersintheLot.com/Pure Hockey.
So, well, I was going to pivot since we're talking about like chatter and chirping and talking on the ice and everything. So, Tyner, you're still playing, yes? So you're out in the Denver area. Where are you playing? You already mentioned the Pizza Boys, which was a good shout out. We love shout outs to teams. So where are you playing? How's that going? What's the league like? You know, all that kind of good stuff.
Mentioned I used to be O'Reilly, so I was a late add to this team. So when I was writing the movie, I was on two teams. The Pizza Boys and Dusty Buckets was the free agent team.
Nice.
It kind of became a team. And that was a great group, but then that league shifted from Wednesdays to Thursdays, and that's just not a good day for me. So now I'm actually a double Pizza Boys member, double pepperoni. So we're in two different leagues. I'm actually proudly wearing my DU championship hoodie.
Oh, look at that!
Oh wow!
Yeah, we were a C League team that was winning all the time, so we moved up to B, which I think this is hilarious. They really try to not call things A leagues out here because that's like college and shit like that. But also you have to pay refs more. I'm like one of the worst dudes in this beer league, in the B league at DU, which I'm totally fine with because it's a really good skate and there's usually less bullshit because it's a better overall skill. I play with guys that are way better than I should be playing with in that league, and that's a lot of fun. And then that's about half of that group, maybe a little more than half, plays in it's South Suburban, and Family Sports is actually the Avs practice rink. So we split in the two rinks. So that's a Monday and Wednesday league, or so one of the two each week. And then Sundays is DU. So shout out to the Pizza Boys twice. It's a lot of fun. The Wednesday league, Monday Wednesday league's a little chippier. I don't know, a lot of chill teams actually. That's kind of my favorite thing about playing out in Denver is there's about 10 plus rinks out here. I can never keep teams straight from week to week. Someone will tell me who we're playing. I'm like, I don't fucking know who those guys are. So kind of it's not out there, which is kind of nice. Usually, there's always exceptions. You guys know. But but yeah, no, it's a great time. I grew up playing in Charleston, South Carolina, where we only have the one rink. And I moved in 2016, and those last few years I was in Charleston, it was toxic. I mean, the same four teams year after year. He's fucking hating each other. It was not very fun.
Yeah. That does it when you're playing the same teams every week for 4 years. It tends to you build up some bad blood, right? Like things that happened 2 years ago show up again, whenever, and it's not good.
I'm just too old for that shit. I've recently ditched the visor. I'm a guy. I've got some shoulder pads now. I'm getting old. I've still cut the shoulder parts off the shoulder because they didn't fit right.
Amen
I've at least
to
got
that.
my and ribs protected, so I'm getting more involved as things go on.
Yeah. No, there's no shame in the cage, no shame in shouldies at all. Like, you protect yourself, it's fine. We talk about this all the time because a lot of people they talk shit, right? They're like, oh, you have the bird cage on or you wear shoulder pads, it's a non-checking league, but you never know. I mostly wear everything because I'm liable to fall and hurt myself. So, it's not about everybody else. It's about you.
I switched. So. I realized how much subconscious bandwidth I was using to just like constantly be on the lookout for sticks. Because I took a stick here when I was 23, and of course my dumb ass goes back to wearing a visor. But I mean, an inch higher, I lose a fucking eye. And that, just fucking, it's stupid. Like I loved being able to spit and not get it all over my cage, and being able to get my face off. And those were like the two biggest reasons I kept it. And I was like, that's not good enough. Like, let's just lose it.
I helped the guy switch over to a cage.
Yep.
Yeah. Luckily, a teammate.
Daniel's story helped.
Yeah. I broke my jaw.
Yeah. It was someone else. And I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
Danny's jaw broke, so ours doesn't. Yeah.
Caught a stick in the jaw, and
welcome.
he started wearing a cage after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's normally all it takes, though, a close call. But for me, I went out my very first time I skated in Maryland, and a puck rolled up a stick, and literally bounced off my face. And I was like, all right, I'm putting a cage on. That's no fucking way. After one time out, I get hit in the face with a puck. No.
Take the sign.
Only took once.
And I like to muck it up in front. So it's nice to just not have to worry.
Yeah, exactly. And same thing with the shoulder pads and stuff too. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, I do the same thing. I cut off some of the parts on the arms because they're just, I don't need that much. But
yeah, I'm not going in for contact.
Yeah, no. Right. But like when one of the guys who's way better than me takes a shot from way far out and it's humming like 85 miles an hour and I'm standing in front of the net and he's only shooting for corners. I don't want to catch one of those in the chest and have some sort of cardiac event from a puck hitting me. Like I'm not having that. Not having that.
Yeah. Beer league though, great in Denver because I'm finally on some. I mean, you can't take for granted being on a consistently good team. I've been on enough shitty ones that it's like I'm really grateful.
I'm the third worst player on a very good team in
man. I'm riding coattails all day.
And in the B league, in Frederick, like, which is the A league really, because it's the same thing here. Like they don't want to call it A league, right? But it is like
I'll clarify. There are A leagues out like. We're definitely a step down from what I would call the best leagues in Denver, which I have no fucking business even sniffing, so I'm not upset about it. But yeah, I'm okay being one of the worst players on a good team. I'll take that all day.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually end up with more points in that league than I do in Old Fat Ball Guys, which is like it's supposed to be 35 and over, like all levels and everything. I end up with more points in the other league because like I kind of know where to go. I'm not fast, but like I kind of know where to go, and I can get my stick in the right spot, and they'll hit me, and then it goes in, right? Like
bounce it off.
It's it's nice. Like
more structure, less beer league chaos.
Right?
Yeah. Sounds like you have plenty of beer league experiences to draw on for writing. What's one of the craziest stories you've got that you've ever heard from your hockey career?
Oh man, the first thing that comes to mind is one I experienced pretty recently, maybe a year or so ago now at this point. But we have a guy. Shout out to Steve, former Yale lacrosse player. He's thick, big fucking dude, strong as an ox, and he's just kind of like a fucking bulldog out there. Just like he's not finishing guys off with hits, but I mean, if you're near him. It's like gravity. You get pulled into him and he's not going down, So he ruffles some feathers for sure. We're playing a team, this is at the DU League, and they have this one dude who's really good. Like, don't get me wrong, but he's a fucking psychopath. I don't know, man. He's off. He's a weird dude. And this dude is on a beeline to basically destroy our goalie. Might score before then. Tristan might make the save, but he's not stopping. He's going to crush our goalie. Steve intercepts him and then blows him the fuck up. And see, I'm sure he got a penalty. Like, he's not going to dispute it. And the dude fucking McSorleys him.
Oh,
shit. I've never seen one of those in my life. Dude, I mean, thank God Steve didn't fucking die from that shit. But like this guy... out of the league, thank God, even though he's like buddy, I think with the guy who runs it. I don't know. But we haven't seen him since. But like, that's the kind of shit, man, where it's just like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Like,
but there's a line. Down. At some point, it becomes assault.
That's what I'm saying. And I can't even, I don't even want to repeat what I fucking said to the guy, but I let him have it too. Even on a relaxed environment like this, I just can't fucking do it. But like, I'm not proud of what I said.
I'm the same way. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, we go back to youth hockey. I've played in a game where a guy got arrested and taken it for assault.
Jesus.
That was an 18-year-old kid, and when you're over 30, man, like, bro, like, what the fuck are you even doing?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
excuse. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how like we go through life and play beer league, or even like there are stories from other, adult rec sports, beer league. We just so happen to bond on. Like, there's so many people out there that are just emotionally unregulated. It's scary. It's like, what is going on?
It's true.
Like, I don't.
I've actually gotten to where I've pumped the brakes on a lot of my proactive shit talking because like I don't want to light the fire in a guy who's gonna fucking murder us all.
Right.
Like I don't know. I pick my moments.
Yeah.
There's some unsavory looking dudes these days. I pick my moments now.
No,
Exactly.
there's
There's some unsavory
no.
cats. I agree 100%.
Johnny, come on. You do not regulate yourself at all.
Zero.
Yeah. Get
Zero.
out
I
of
want
here.
to talk over there.
Get out of here.
I am not one to talk, but that being said, I can look around and I notice the mirrors pointing back at myself, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of cats like me. Jeez. So yeah.
And I think shit talking too, it comes down to the vibe, and then like there's so many times like if it's done right, you should both crack a smile when it's done. Honestly, when it's done right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's not always the case, is it?
Well, it's
No,
always
no.
kind of funny too, like especially like as you like kind of play against the same teams over and over. There's always a guy or two on the other team where you're friendly to some extent, where like, and it's always the same jagoff on another team where you're like, geez, this guy's doing this shit again. And even his teammate is like, yeah, I know. Like, we come out here at 11:30 on a fucking Tuesday for this shit. Like, it's like we all got to get up and go to work in the morning.
Spoiler alert.
Speaking of chirps,
I know.
all timer that we received in a game that we were winning was these guys I play with, they're good dudes, and they had some of their kids that are like 17, 18 hop out for a game. And one of them, honest to God, chirped us like, there's like the defensive one. It's like, we have work in the morning, but the kid was like, it was the tone of it. The delivery was so perfect. It's like, oh, what? You got work in the morning? And it was just like, we were so speechless. It was flawless. It was so good.
He preempted it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah, we
It
have
was
to-
great.
Right. Like,
Yeah, we have to go to work, pay taxes so you can sit in your dad's basement. Exactly. Like, yeah, that's what we gotta do. Sorry, dude. Like, yeah.
It was flawless execution. I was really impressed.
So I got to talk about a character in the movie that I relate to, who is actually our competition. He's a member of some of our competition, and that being RA.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know.
RA.
I don't know if that's competition, but okay, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
competition. We both are hockey podcasters. Yes. So
We're talking about like a paper glider versus an F-22 Raptor. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
Continue, Aaron.
Yeah.
Competition. Okay.
No, he's the surly rink manager who tries to throw all guys out of the locker room after the game's over and all that, and talks about like, hey, they just pay me to make a sheet, they don't pay me to fix it and all that. As a former rink guy, Zamboni dude who used to throw out the beer league guys at midnight, 1 a.m. I definitely could relate to RA's.
I was going to say,
there.
you didn't throw him
Love
out.
that.
You would always just
You
sit
were
there
there.
and let him play.
Yeah.
I was there, and I'd have beers with him. No, that was I like that the addition of that character, and you talk about how you got their attention or got RA's attention to get him to be in the movie.
Yeah, so that's all credit to Jeffrey Zucker. He's done some business with some of the guys with Chiclets, and they did I can't remember exactly. Was it a watch party, I think, out here in Denver the year the Avs won the Cup? I think it was the Western Conference Finals. I think it could have been the Stanley Cup Finals. But that's where Zucker got to meet him in person and was just like, I'd originally written that for my college roommate, Aaron, so I kept him in the movie in sorts by naming the scorekeeper Aaron. We kind of had this, like, Zucker's, I think we could
Versatile
get
name.
RA, and we had him in mind for the ref at first, actually, and he was like, I can't skate. And I was like, okay, well, then the Zam driver is right up your alley. And he was into it. We knew he had, like, kind of the acting bug from his bit on Shoresy. And, he talks about movies all the time. So, yeah, Zucker floated it to him. He said, yeah. And then Ray, thinking that this, they get offered on Chiclets. I'm sure guys were coming to them left and right saying,
All
hey,
the
I've got
time.
this.
Yeah.
Mm.
And on Monday morning, we had a script, a contract in the email ready to go, and he was like, "Oh shit, I guess these guys are serious." And I was serious. He was the one person I was like nervous about my first scene with, because most of these guys are my friends, and I think they were the ones who were nervous. So it was actually that thing where I'm calm because I'm trying to calm them down. Excuse me. With RA, I was like, oh man, is this guy gonna big time me? Because I mean, he jumped on for one table read at a time. I might have talked to him for 30 seconds, like actually talked to him, not doing the scene. So I'm a little nervous, and dude, he was the fucking best. He was so on board for anything. He took direction as well as anybody on set. Like if he was almost there, I'd be like, oh, could you just pull up on this and really go at him for this? And he'd be like, got it. The way he fucking talks, like who could write that? Like, it's a line to
Yes.
start with, and we would kind of get it as scripted one line, and then I'm like, okay, this is the energy. Just fucking unload on this guy however you think you should. And he was so good. And it's like, if something gave me an idea, I just throw it to him and he can crush it. And I'm the most thankful for him. So I mentioned we had to cut a lot of stuff. I had a very overt Youngblood reference as a line. It was going to be, look where the puck is, asshole. And that was going to be like, I was like, okay, I can whittle it down to one Youngblood reference. I'm good with that. And I didn't even realize that was in the stuff we cut. And he called Zach Bell Youngblood in a take at the end of the movie, because that was an improv scene. We didn't have any scenes with those guys. And it was like, well, these are our two big ticket guys. How to put them in a scene together. And he calls him Youngblood just randomly in a take, and I'm just like, okay, well, you fucked up, because now you're gonna have to say Youngblood in every single take, because there's no way it's not gonna be in the movie.
Right.
So I'm really, really pumped. I now have an overt Youngblood reference in there thanks to RA, but he was the fucking best, man. And it was fun seeing him at the cast and crew screening, because he was only there for 5 days, and didn't really see anything outside of his scenes. And I didn't have like a bad attitude or anything, but I think he expected a worse movie, I think, honestly, and it was really cool to watch him during it, because he was just fucking blown away. He was grinning ear to ear the whole time. And he bats a thousand in the movie, man. Like, every one of his scenes, I think, crushes. He's so good.
That's awesome.
You can't beat the, South Boston accent, right? And then the delivery is, obviously, right? Like, it definitely hits. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys got to see the Red Band trailer that we launched, but like, it was really important for us to have a trailer that, like, I can't even believe we have a trailer that's clean. That's like our one it's blown up.
Right. Well, I can't
believe it.
That was a really interesting thing, because I think like we always quote like when we're talking to people, like when we talk to the two podcast networks that we're part of, we always bring up the Gordie Howe quote that all hockey players are bilingual. They know English and profanity, right? Like it is a huge part of the culture and how we communicate with each other, like in a serious sense. I'm not like, this isn't a joke. Like it's part of it. So like, I think it's almost a necessity, right? To put something out like the Red Band trailer to draw hockey people in and show them like this is going to sound bad, but like this is a legit hockey movie. Like this is legit hockey entertainment, because it does include that part of the culture. Like I think that's super important.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, I think we probably eclipsed the fuck mark that I would have set prior to shooting. A little bit. But, I think part of that too is we did improv a lot of scenes, so there's there is like that sort of internal of like, oh, I'm gonna fill the space with a fuck or a shit. And maybe we could have pulled back a little bit, but I do think if nothing else, like it's authentic as can be. I mean, it's
exactly.
If you're in a beer league locker room, you're not batting an eye. And which is also, I can't believe we made it this far without talking. Like, I was so pumped to get a dick in the movie. That wasn't scripted. That was a
yeah.
It's one of those things.
That was just right off the bat. Yeah.
Yeah. That was
like, yeah. I mean, I've grown numb to the amount of wieners I see every week. You don't even think about it.
You've answered my only other question for the movie. Thank you.
My lack of sleep, I was in a fugue state for most of shooting, and like I so willing to take other people's ideas We got a little bit of internal pushback about what we dubbed the peen scene. And that was the one area I dug my heels in. I'm like, no, it stays. That was the only
Yeah.
pushback. And that was shout out to Proton. So the whole shtick was just gonna be my butt cheeks, and that was gonna be like, hey, this will be my director's cameo. That's kind of funny. And Proton's like, I've got to show my dick, and I was like, okay, let's do it. And my favorite part about that is you see his wiener, and then the next shot, he's walking around.
He's
the corner,
in the
so
hallway. Yeah.
so I love that's
Yeah.
the movie magic for you right there.
Well,
One
it
more
is.
layer to that. I'm sorry, I've got to shout out my pizza boys one more time. So one more layer to that is Proton's got a lot of very identifiable tattoos. So we had to put his shirt on for that scene, and we have a little bit of a shirt cocking policy on my pizza boys teams where it's frowned upon if you go shirt off first. You keep the shirt on, you drop the bottoms, you shirt cock it in the room. So that was one more fun way to shout out the pizza boys.
That's a good rule.
That's
I like
fun.
that.
No rules with
Yeah.
I
there you
do-
go.
I do think it's funny you add kind of the locker room culture because like I remember, my wife who is now kind of accustomed to me vanishing on Sunday for hours on end, playing and whatnot. But like she thought it was wild that like, we would shower and stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like we've been doing this like if you play like youth hockey growing up when you're like 14, 15, normally in a lot of places you get access to the showers. You shower before you go home because you're just drenched in disgusting sweat.
Because
And
it's
then it's-
gross.
Yeah, because it's disgusting. It's a hygiene thing. And then as you get older, you just keep doing it. And like Eric and I did a tournament in Hershey like 2 years ago, and it was probably the first time ever in my adult hockey playing career. Like after the game, I was like, man, I really don't want to shower in these freaking. It was disgusting. It was like almost like still water. Like it was horrible. Like we were
No,
like,
the
Yeah.
shower was the shower drain was backed up and it was like flooding the
Yeah.
locker room. So there was
Been
at
there.
least
Seen
an
that too,
inch of
yeah.
water. Right?
yeah, the
Like,
rats were
oh,
coming out. Like they were like, oh, we gotta escape the flood. It was gross.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah, it
definitely
is.
something it's wild. That's one of those things where it's like you don't realize how numb to it you are. And then one of me and Proton's things, it's kind of mean, I guess, in hindsight, but like we're always really good like at a late night pickup, spotting someone who was uncomfortable with male nudity and then just like immediately disrobing and having conversations, just like I don't know, little things, it's fun. It's just a good time. So yeah, I didn't understand how it was framed at the time. I would have changed my body positioning, but I'm the other guy in the locker room when you see the penis. I'm bummed
Okay.
I'm not more visible. I didn't think to look at the monitor first. So
I see what you did
that
there.
was-
That's clever.
yeah.
Bummed. Yes.
Yeah.
One of the things that I thought was great about the movie was how relatable it is, and I know when we were talking about it, we were like pointing out characters and people that we know, and we're like, "Oh, this guy in the movie is definitely this guy." And I know we had probably somebody for every single player that we played with.
Oh yeah.
Love to hear
I thought that
that.
was
It's so
great.
good. 'Cause
Everybody in the
one
movie.
worry we had was definitely like, is this too like we were really worried, is the Kevin stuff going to translate? And I was really certain it would, but then
Yes.
like I'm editing it for so long and I'm like, are we all just dicks? Like Alec Rush plays Ryan. He's like, he was truly like the new guy on set too. Like no, he was like the one guy no one knew. And
Yeah.
he's sweet as can be and super fucking talented. Like he was great. But he would just be like, you guys need to lay off Kevin. And we're like, yeah, you just don't get it. Hang out with him for 5 more days.
No, that's great because yeah, like Danny said, like we were listing off guys and like Kevin, the Proton character, like whoever, like we were literally naming off guys. Like even on the young Geno's team, like there are guys on that team that we were naming off. Like I know that guy. Or the Zach Bell character, Casey, right? Like we know that guy. Like he plays on John's and my team right now. Like he's super talented. just wants to play beer league, just wants to have fun, doesn't want to, do all the other bullshit that the other guys are doing. Like, yeah, it's awesome.
Just like John said, like, you play a team full of douchebags. There's weirdly like one chill
One
person.
cool
So like,
guy, right?
Yeah.
that was always sort of the thing built in is like, okay, we're gonna have a douche. Like, my whole thing when writing it is like, how do we just have the least amount of actors I need to call favors in for? So like we kept, thankfully, like Zach brought his boy Jordan, who's like, he's in the Gallagher jersey. He gets a lot of featured time. But yeah, with Chet, I got to just shout him, Chris Curtis, I got to shout him out again because that was a role that like the first kid we cast kind of flaked out, and we're literally a day from fucking shooting, and we don't have our main bad guy. I was like, if worst case comes to it, I guess I'll be it, but I'm not fucking young. Like, how am I going to become the young? I was like, if I have to do it, I do. And thank God, Alex Fitzgerald's we used College of Charleston's club hockey team to be Geno's because they had matching equipment. So I figured we rotate guys in, it'll be easier to kind of fill those spots. And Chris Curtis was new to that team. He's a local kid. He never even saw script the whole time. And I would just be like, hey, man, playing him and asshole does this or that. And I'm like, well, you're that asshole. He's like, oh, I get it. Done. And like, that kind of shorthand was pretty cool. Dude, he's
That's
great.
so
And
cool.
he's such, hey, you guys are hockey guys. So I haven't been able to talk about this with hockey guys enough yet. It's been I haven't shown it to enough yet. So, I mean, you look at Chris as Chet, and he just looks like a good fucking player, right? Because he is. Like, you just, with some dudes, they just look the part. And I just can't imagine the movie without him. He's so fucking good in it.
I was going to say, Chris, that actor, Chris, looks exactly like the character that he plays. Like, when I imagine, I don't know, it's hard to see anybody else's face now that like seeing him doing that role. Like,
he's the sweetest kid, and he's
perfect.
like, man. He's like, man.
Oh yeah, I don't mean anything against him, but he's got the perfect look for the role.
He's the sweetest guy.
And think though, now what you have done throughout beer leagues throughout the world, guys will be getting yelled at. Way to go, Chet. Stuff like that. Like, it's just gonna like start just coming to guys. Yeah.
I was also telling Zucker, I was like, we'll know that we've made it if a kid gets like suspended in Pee-wee's for doing the Noel celebration of flipping off the other.
Yeah, that was so good.
Flipping the
yeah.
Worst influence for children. I love it.
That's how you know it's a good movie.
So the referee, so I have a little, it's not really a personal connection, but so Matt Mons, right?
You know Matt Mons?
Well, I know him through like email and stuff. So I coached you. And so he works for my hockey, right? As like a regional whatever.
That's his new gig. He used to run the Ice Palace when we were growing up. So he was like the hockey director.
Right on. Yeah, and he's like big in Charleston, right? Like he's been down there forever.
He's been a coach. His kids are really fucking good. They went up to Canada and have won tournaments, and like he's a really good like youth coach in the OHL when he was like 15 or so.
So my team is we've had a season. We'll just put it that way, and we're gonna cancel yet again on one of his tournaments on the East Coast. And we're very sorry.
What I like, one line about Matt Mons that I love to tell people is no one was on set less and complained more than Matt Mons.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
He played his role well then.
Typical ref.
Yeah. So I used to work at the Ice Palace in the pro shop. A cool moment was to realize 15 years later I still remembered how to sharpen skates. So that was cool. But yeah, Matt Mons is the hockey director, and I worked in the pro shop. And then I hated the GM of the rink. And then, like, the second I leave, GM gets fired, and he became the GM of the Ice Palace. So my mom is in love with Noel, and she Googles Noel's name, and one of the first things that comes up is like the discipline report from the Ice Palace, where Matt Mons like banished him from beer league. He permanently suspended Tyler from beer league. So he had suspended most of us that were in the movie. So that was a fun dynamic on set too.
That's awesome.
We're like doling out disciplinary issues. Jeez.
Yeah, he is a curmudgeon. So like, if you caught him on the wrong day, that's what happened with Tyler. It had to be like, he was just having a bad day. Tyler comes across the desk, banished. I'm done with it. He was great, honestly. Like, we actually had 2 ref characters in the script, and our buddy Jeff Lubin, who does the music in the movie, he was like, "Yeah, I can skate. I'll be the other ref." And he shows up. He's like, "Oh my god, I can't skate, guys. I thought I could, but I can't." I was like, "Well, I guess we're only doing 1 ref."
Yeah.
Shout out to my brother Kirk. He was Matt's body double, and he makes a few shots of the movie. I'm pretty stoked on that.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Well, Jeff, what kind of stuff do you have coming up regards to the movie? You got anything in the near future planned?
So yeah, we've got on February 16th, we're going to be in Hoboken, New Jersey, ahead of the Stadium Series games, with a couple of live screenings. So that's Friday the 16th. We have one at 3:30 and 9:30 p.m. At the Mile Square Theater. I hope I said that right. But we've got, if you go to any of our socials, if you go to theLateGame.com, we have a link tree with all of our links. Follow The Late Game on all the social medias. We've got an Eventbrite link for tickets. We've got some early merch out. We'll have a lot more merch to come. Our poster's really sick, so buy that if you're into it, because it's a beautiful work of art. And then in March, we're still working with particulars, but we're going to be at the Minnesota High School Hockey Championships.
Oh, wow.
And we're ironing out the venue, but we're going to be there. We're going to take this a few other live locations for live screenings, but those are the 2. One we're locked in, and then one's almost fully locked in.
Awesome.
Right on. And then you said it's going to be available to rent, like on where is that going to be? Like, how are people going to be able to get to it once it's available?
Yeah. So the actual sort of official streaming release date is TBD. It won't, like, first week of March at the absolute latest. I don't think it's going to take that long, but it'll be available to rent on Amazon. So any smart TV with the apps, all that jazz. It should be pretty straightforward. And can't wait for that, because everyone wants to see it. Everyone that I know wants to see it. So hopefully the hockey community beyond that will feel the same way.
So, you grew up on the East Coast, so this should be somewhat simple. Late night, got a few pops in you. Let's just say it's midnight, maybe 1:30, whatever. Late night eat, like a Sheetz, Wawa, Buc-ee's, Circle K, any of those places that do like MTO subs or whatever. What is your go-to order? What are you getting? And the full gamut. So if you're getting chips, drink, whatever, what are you getting?
You guys are after my heart right here. This is good stuff. So let's just say I'm back home in South Carolina. Let's say we're after midnight, I think that'll narrow it down some. I'm going to Cookout. I don't know if we have Cookouts in Virginia.
Oh yes,
I think there's one in Virginia. I think I've heard of it. Yeah,
Cookout's
south,
great.
But like, basically, it's like it's a burger place, but instead of just doing a combo of fries and a Coke, they call them trays. So you pick your entree, which can be burger, multiple corn dogs, chicken sandwiches, shit like that. And then the sides can be like quesadillas, nuggets, chili, more corn dogs. And it's a deep ass bench. So I do the big burger, cheese, lettuce, tomato, onion, ketchup, mustard. Then I'm doing chicken quesadilla and chicken nuggets as the side. And then they're one of the few places that have cheer wine on the fountain. So I'm getting the cheer wine.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And, and then I'm feeling like shit for the drive home. Because I grew up like 45 minutes from Charleston. So like when I'm back home, I'm usually making the drive back to my mom's house. So yeah, I'm devouring that in the parking lot, and then I'm just like sweating it out the rest of the drive back.
You have like 2 bags of concrete in your stomach as you're driving home. Yeah.
Dude, it's so good. I mean, if time's not an issue, I mean, I could talk. Like that was another thing about, we wanted the movie set in the South, and like we shout out a few of my favorite restaurants. We get a lot of love to Waffle House, and Bojangles is more of a quick reference, but I'm a big Bojangles guy too.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know where we're at. We're about to get a Bojangles. So
yeah, we are.
I've never been to a.
It's so good.
I know.
Also Winchester.
Times. Yeah,
Winchester has
times.
Bojangles and Cookout.
Oh wow!
Just
Oh,
saying.
wow.
All right.
Fun
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah.
It's heaven.
Have you had the
Yeah.
Have you had the Cheerwine beer?
This is news to me.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had a listener send us some Cheerwine beer. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
that was
Yeah.
great.
I love it, but I love it in the fountain because the cans are great, but boy, is it a race to the clock before it goes flat. I don't know how they make sodas, but I think they're doing that part wrong.
Yeah.
While it's still carbonated, it's so good.
I'm not. It's funny you mention that because I'm not a big soda guy. Like Taco Bell, I'll always get a Baja, but yeah, like I had the Cheerwine. I'm trying to remember, like a year ago, something like that, and I was like, oh, this isn't bad for soda. And then after I finish it, I'm like, now I know why I can't drink soda. I wouldn't
Yeah.
drink anything else. Like I would
I've
just
cut it
be.
down tremendously for my own needs, but when I'm, like I said, if I'm back home, it's after midnight and I'm driving past a cookout, I don't give a fuck because I'm having it all.
Yeah. Cookout is good. Cookout is good.
Spectacular.
Well, Tyner, thank you so much for your time and coming to talk to us. This has been great. We really appreciate that you came to talk to us about the movie and to let us get a little sneak of it too. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
It was a
And
great
I'm
movie.
super excited to see the rest of the hockey community pick up this movie and say the same things that we just said. That it's immediately relatable. It's so spot on. Like it's perfect, really. So I'm super excited for everybody else to see it so that we can talk about it with them. But
Dude,
again, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. This has been a blast. I love, like I said, started listening to the show pretty recently, but I've loved the flow. I love the
Thank you.
vibe of Beer League. You know, I think it's, like I said, I don't think there's enough. I don't think word's fully out yet. Like people need to realize that this is everywhere and it's awesome. And yeah, you guys got a fan now. I'll jump back on anytime you have me. This was awesome.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, boys.
All right, that's it for this one. Thank you for your listen and for your support. We appreciate all of your likes and ratings and reviews and subscriptions on the various podcatchers. Keep them coming. We appreciate every single one of them. I know I speak for the rest of the guys when I say have a good one, and we'll catch you next week when our new episode drops on Wednesday. See ya.